Today we are going to go over the top 20 foods to eliminate in 2020. I'm going to give you the studies that correlate with each food so that we're not just repeating that A, B, and C are bad for us. You're going to know why, along with the studies that were done with the foods to see how they affect the human body. We're going to run through it really quick. So I'm not going to dwell on the first one. Number one, I'm going to write everything on the bottom after this video is complete. Number one is milk. I went into the amount of allowable pus cells that are allowed in each liter of milk with the FDA. So I'm not going to go into depth regarding that. You can check that out in the last video, but what I will say is that there was a study done on prostate cancer, as it relates to whole milk. And essentially what they did was take a petri dish. They had some prostate cancer cells in the dish, and what they did was drip organic whole milk. They made sure to do organic because they didn't want anyone to say anything about the bovine growth serum that's typically in non-organic milk. And when they dripped the organic milk onto the prostate cancer cells, they began to multiply. What does that tell us? Whole milk, regular milk, organic milk, doesn't matter if it's organic, it's trash. It multiplied the cancer cells in the petri dish. And what they noticed was with almond milk, the almond milk reduced the proliferation of the cancer cells by 30%. Two of my favorite milks that I like to use is milk walnuts. This I typically do myself when I have time. I soak the walnuts overnight. This is milk hazelnuts. I like this brand because it's only about 4 ingredients. Anything that has a lot of ingredients, I don't even bother. So you want to switch to these milks. So if you know any guys suffering with prostate cancer or anything like that, you could tell them about the study. Whole milk, organic milk has to go. Number 2 is cheese, which is solidified milk. The thing with cheese is it has something called arachidonic acid. I will write that below. It's a pro-inflammatory compound that adversely impacts mental health via the cascade of neuroinflammation. That's inflammation of the brain, inflammation of the neurons. Your neurons need to be able to send and transmit messages throughout your body without any conflict. It needs to be a smooth transition, a smooth flow of electrons with the neurons. If it can't do that, then cheese could be an issue. And that's one of the reasons why people take aspirin and ibuprofen. It blocks conversion of the arachidonic acid to relieve pain and inflammation and swelling. Number 3 is soy. Soy we'll do an entire video about, but just so you know, soy in America is 97% GMO. Soy also converts to estrogen in the body. So any man that is using any type of protein that's soy-based or drinking soy milk, all of those things are going to convert to estrogen in the body, and then that's where you get the man boobs and the excess fat. In women, it's no good because if you have a estrogen-dominant cancer like breast cancer or ovarian cancer or any type of uterine cancer, the soy is going to make that situation worse. Another thing with soy is it's a trypsin inhibitor. Trypsin is an enzyme that's produced by the body that helps break down protein. If you're not able to break down protein because you're consuming soy or products that contain soy, it's going to cause gastric issues, digestive upset. That being a trypsin inhibitor is really big. You have to get rid of it. Next on the list is eggs. Eggs also have arachidonic acid, also a pro-inflammatory compound, and then it has something called choline. Choline converts into a toxin called trimethylamine. It's a bacteria in the gut, and when it's oxidized in the liver, it increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. So eggs gotta go. There are plenty of other sources to get protein from. Hemp is one of them. Hemp protein. These are chickpea pastas, or even good old-fashioned chickpeas. And then when I'm on the go, this is Hillary's Hemp and Greens. This is the only veggie burger that I buy because it's the only one that doesn't have soy, gluten, corn. It doesn't have anything. It's the cleanest one if you're in a rush because not everybody has time to cook every day. Another interesting thing is autism patient autopsies showed significantly more plaque buildup and narrowing of the arteries in the brain. Again, autism patient autopsies showed significantly more plaque buildup, atherosclerotic plaque buildup, and narrowing of arteries in the brain. So that's something that's very important, because that's where we have the stiffening of the arteries, which is lack of blood flow, lack of oxygen. Anybody who has a child suffering from autism, or if you know somebody suffering from autism, the eggs will make it worse. Also, another thing, salmonella in eggs can survive, even whether you have it scrambled, well done, over easy, it doesn't matter. The salmonella in the eggs will survive, and it's more acid producing than meat. Another thing for the men, you have 2 times the risk of prostate cancer eating even 1 egg a day compared to men that didn't. Twice the risk. The only thing worse for prostate cancer than eggs was poultry. And I'm not going in any specific order as far as which thing is worse, which one, like number 1 is not as bad and number 20 is going to be the worst. They're all terrible. Next category that's clumped in is fast foods. The arteries, the study that was done on this is sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin. Within 3 hours, stiffened the arteries, cutting off their ability to relax normally, caused inflammation, and by the time it calmed down, which was about 5 to 6 hours, most of us have already had another meal. And if it's a meal similar to the sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin, or anything that's related to that, you're just going to have constant inflammation, constant stiffening of the arteries, and the moment your blood is not able to circulate properly, that's when you're going to have issues. And it starts stiffening because the blood is getting thick. Your blood has electrons on the outside of the membrane, on the outside of the red blood cell. It has an electron, and the purpose of the electron is to allow the blood to flow smoothly. So once you start to dim that charge with overly acidic foods, then the blood cells are going to start to coagulate. It's going to clump together, and now all the arteries are getting stiff. Your joints are starting to get stiff, and it's going to cause other issues down the line. We all know that it's high amounts of cholesterol. Whether you want to choose the egg white, it doesn't really matter, because it can cause the crystallizing like rock candy, which then results in inflammation. And for women too, the excessive eggs causes your ovaries to get rock hard. Pause. Next in line, number 6 is red meat. Red meat harbors a bacteria that triggers inflammation even when fully cooked. I have my people that love getting stuff well done. It really doesn't matter. It does not kill the endotoxins. Endotoxins are toxins that's produced inside the cell. So you have a cell right here. Inside the cell is the endotoxin from the animal. The exotoxins are what's produced outside of the cell by bacteria, yeast, or whatever else is inside of the animal. But internally in the animal, the endotoxin does not get broken down or destroyed when you apply heat to it. So that can end up in your body once you have a meal. The stomach acid doesn't kill it. It ends up in your intestines, crosses the gut wall into the bloodstream, where it triggers an inflammatory reaction in the arteries. A lot of these things, you're going to hear that they're crossing the gut wall. You have your stomach, and your stomach has junctions, and the junctions are supposed to be tight, but in people that have any type of digestive disorders, the junctions start to get a little open. They start to open up, and then foods and any type of waste can start to come out, and then it goes straight into the bloodstream before it gets the check and balance by the small intestine. So these things over time are going to disrupt gut health. Another thing with red meat, meat protein increases the acid load to the kidneys, boosting ammonia production, which damages kidney cells. Concentrations of stone-forming substances become so high that they start to crystallize. So if you're suffering from kidney stones or even gallstones, any type of stone or hardening or type of rocks that's in your body that you need to pass, red meat, any type of meat, and anything that I named prior to the red meat is going to make the situation worse, because the revving up of the kidney into hyperfiltration, it's going to hyperfiltrate, which means it needs to pump more ammonia to break down the red meat, the eggs, the milk. It has to break all of that waste down. And by pumping up the ammonia, it starts to deteriorate and destroy the cells around the kidneys. Because ammonia, as we all know, ammonia naturally produced in the body, but only to break things down. In excess is going to start to damage the tissues. The next one is also bulked into the category number 7, chicken, turkey, and hot dog. It has gerontotoxins in it. This means aging toxins. It comes from the Greek word geros, which means old age. So these are toxins that accelerate the aging process. You want to be aware of that. And by that happening, it causes stiffness, tissue stiffness, oxidative stress, and inflammation. We also found that 97% of the chicken breasts found in retail stores were contaminated with bacteria that could make people sick. The 2014 issue of Consumer Reports showed that 90% were contaminated with fecal matter. Back in the 1970s, studies showed that over time, movement of bacteria from the rectum into the vaginal area preceded the appearance of bladder infections. Constant urinary tract infections. You need to be careful with the chicken, the turkey. Hot dogs are in the same category, carcinogen-wise, as asbestos. Don't give your kids hot dogs. I know it's summertime. I don't care if it's turkey. I don't care if it's chicken. Hot dogs, no. They gotta go. So E. coli strands residing in the gut serve as the reservoir for urinary tract infections. UTIs, chicken, turkeys, just gonna make it worse. And UTIs affect like over 10 million women a year and men. Okay, but another thing that's interesting, in the study, the chickens that colonized their gut seemed to last only 10 days. The good bacteria in the gut were able to muscle out the bad guys. But here's the problem. Most people don't have chicken once every 10, 20 days. Most people will eat chicken every day. So all of the bacteria from the chicken that's colonizing your gut, you're adding more to it when you have it in excess. Now, obviously, I understand that we're all transitioning out of certain diets. So to say, like, just have chicken once every 10 days, not everybody's going to be able to do that, because the chicken literally colonized and hijacked your body and makes you crave more chicken. But you have to figure out a way to slow this down. This study shows that it only lies in the body for 10 days. I believe that people can go without chicken for 10 days, without red meat forever. So, and into our next friend. Oh, another thing, another study that was done, the increase in the amount of chicken also increased the chances of getting pancreatic cancer. Number 8, and remember, this is not in any order. These are all equally terrible. Pork, or maybe pork is worse. Pork has a bacteria called the Yersinia bacteria, which leads to acute gastroenteritis or appendicitis. Long-term infections include chronic inflammation of the eyes, kidneys, hearts, and joints. Also triggers autoimmune thyroid condition known as Graves' disease. Your thyroid is right here, and a lot of people don't understand the function of it until they have issues with it. Your thyroid is what's going to keep the body temperature a certain way. It's also going to be related to the metabolism. So you gaining weight, losing weight, it has to do with the thyroid and other functions that I'll list on here. Okay, what else? Studies show more than 2/3 of pork contaminated with Yersinia were still sold. The farmers profit by confining pigs to a 6 by 6 square foot area without adequate ventilation. And another thing we have to remember is pigs don't have pores. They don't sweat. So anything that they eat, which includes each other, they eat each other. If you haven't watched What the Health, they do eat each other. They're in a little 6 by 6 square foot farm, and anything that they consume is not released. Humans have pores. We release toxins all the time. Pigs do not. All of them stay inside of the pig's body. Without sweating and proper elimination, that is going to increase your disease chances by at least 50%. Ladies, while we're talking about sweating, we have to stop wearing these straight jackets called brasiers. You want to wear it once in a while because you have a dress you need to get into, or it looks better with a certain outfit. Cool. Brasiers restrict the lymph nodes that are under the breast. There's lymph nodes all over your body. You can feel them here. You can feel them here. The moment you're not able to eliminate waste because of the tight bras and because of the aluminum-filled deodorants, you're going to start feeling a lump. You're going to start feeling lymph nodes getting swollen. You have lymph nodes here too in the groin area. The moment you start feeling a little bit of hardness, which some of it can be eliminated pretty quickly. If you have, it's a brush that you could get. I'll write it on the bottom here. But it's a brush that you could use to help the lymph nodes move waste. You just brush down. Like say I had a swollen lymph node in my neck, you brush down nice and gently, and it's going to help the waste eliminate from the lymph nodes, and then it'll go back into circulation to be thrown out of the body, however, with maybe urine, feces, sweat. You can't let the lymph nodes contaminate, and that's what happens when we wear the aluminum-filled deodorants, or where we wear these bras that's so constricted and got our boobs all the way in our neck. No, you have to reduce the bras that you're wearing. The next one is salt. I'm not going to go too deep into this one, but one thing we should understand is that we went million years without salt, and we're programmed to have 10 times less salt than we do now. So this salt obviously is going to restrict the blood vessels. It's going to start causing the stiffening of the vessels, which is going to restrict blood flow, which can increase your chances for high blood pressure, along with stroke, and along with that, varicose veins, things of that nature, where the blood is not flowing properly inside of the veins. So let's go over a couple of seasonings. Most people just use these other seasonings like Goya seasoning or Lowry's, or there's a Spanish one too that's really terrible. You have to start getting into the thyme, the rosemary, oregano. Also, I'm thinking onions, peppers, tomatoes. Tomatoes are healthier cooked than raw. What else? I'm thinking basil, parsley. You can start with those things. Play with those herbs. Those herbs are pretty good right there, and you can still get a lot of flavor out of the food. If you're going to use salt, Himalayan sea salt. There's also Celtic salt. It's also a sea salt, not table salt. Table salt is garbage. Number 10 is alcohol. Not spending any time on that. Alcohol has, it's the toxic breakdown of a substance called acetaldehyde. That's what causes all the issues with the liver. The liver has too much work already to deal with all the other things I just named. Has no room for alcohol. Also, what is this? Oh, sodas. Sodas and artificial juices, artificial sodas, they contain phosphate, which is an additive that's used to make the drinks improve their color. Phosphates are vascular toxins. Vascular meaning veins, arteries. Another thing, it's going to impair arterial function. Within hours of consuming a high phosphate meal, it increases kidney and heart failure, accelerating aging and bone loss. Number 13, what I'm talking to you on now, because not everything's going to be food. Number 13, the cell phones. A lot of us are on our cell phones 24/7. There is something that's emitted from the cell phones called blue light. Blue light, after a certain time, starts to disrupt the production of melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that's secreted by the pineal gland. When you have too much blue light toxicities from the cell phones, from the TVs, from the iPads, any type of electronic device, it's going to disrupt your melatonin production, and over time you're going to have trouble sleeping. And it could lead into insomnia, and if you're not producing melatonin, you're not healing properly. The melatonin, it's peaks at night, so you want to be in bed somewhere between 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and then it starts to dip down at about 4 a.m. So if you're on your phone at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you are not healing. You are missing out on critical hours of healing. From anywhere between 10, 11 o'clock till about 4 a.m., your body is going through healing and detoxification and just truly purifying your body. And melatonin helps to do that. Number 13 is fish. Y'all know I'm sad. Let's take a moment for fish. The mercury in the fish. Mercury in the fish deteriorates brain cells. So diseases like Parkinson's is due to high heavy metals, and it has PCB contamination, fish oils, any kind of fish, it doesn't matter what kind. The degree that is found with the most damage in the brain is called the substantia nigra, which means black substance. It's a highly melanated area in the brain. And the interesting thing about melanin, which I go into in depth in my book, I'm not going to do it here, is it has the ability to attract toxins to either make it a part of its structure or to destroy it and eliminate it out of its body. There is melanin in your brain. Please do not start fighting me in the comments or anywhere, because I already went through that a couple of videos ago. Melanin is in the brain. There's 12 centers of melanin in the brain. The substantia nigra is one of the areas that's contributed to having Parkinson's degree, because that area starts to lose its blackness. It starts to use the blackness that you need in order to not have a disease like this. But I do have, where is it? It's an herb here, wild crafted from Jamaica. It's called blue vervain. This is an excellent nervine. It's a brain nourishing tonic. So if you know anybody with Parkinson's or have nerve issues or the twitching legs or they just can't stay still, they need something like blue vervain. I have that on my website too, High Frequency. I have a nice nourishing nervine tonic. It's also good for all ADHD or restless leg syndrome, lack of concentration, poor sleep. It's a nervine tonic, but if you want to get it on your own. But mine comes from Jamaica, so mine's going to be better. Blue vervain. And the next one is deep fried foods, which leads to the production of dangerous heterocyclic amines in meats. We have to be careful with that, because a lot of us parents, I do it myself, we give our children a lot of French fries. Every day we give them French fries. We have to reduce the amount of French fries that we're giving them, because the heterocyclic amines are cancer-producing substances, and it can increase your risk of breast cancer by 47% due to the DNA damage in the tissue. They initiate and promote cancer cell growth, also has potent estrogen-like effects which fuel breast cancer growth in which hormones thrive. Cancer also feeds on bad cholesterol, and it showed stimulated growth in a petri dish as well with the fried foods. If you have any type of uterine issue or excess estrogen or hormone imbalance, this is another herb wild crafted in Jamaica. It's called Jamaican dog blood. This is not available for sale by itself on the site, right? I just got it. So if you order something like Woman's Strength or a hormone regulator, 50% of the herbal blend will contain the dog blood, and the rest will have things like red raspberry, red clover, other things to nourish your blood. But dog blood is really good to get your hormones in line. It's also excellent for fertility, so the fertility blend will also have the dog blood. Next, which I'm not going to go into depth about, is white sugar and brown sugar, because brown sugar is just white sugar undercover. We're not going to go into that. We all know that it causes diabetes. It causes you to hold on to fat. It also causes the stiffening of the arteries again. You have to have your arteries nice and smooth. Number six, where am I at? No, I'm up to number 16. What am I saying right now? Is coffee. Coffee causes a lot of gastrointestinal issues, and it's associated with an increased risk of bone fracture in women and incontinence in men and women. Some people, the thing with coffee is, like, a lot of people love to have coffee. It's just when you have several cups a day. I don't drink coffee at all. I drink tea. I drink herbs. Herbs should always be a part of your diet. Number 17. I'm going to bulk another category: rice, potatoes, any type of cold cereal, anything white, like white bread, even oats. Unfortunately, they're all mucus forming, they're all acidic. What you can use instead is spelt flour. That's the flour that I use. Like I showed you, I think I showed you before, it was the chickpeas. Chickpea pasta. This is amaranth. This is a grain that you could use to replace rice. There's also quinoa. This is black rice, not the Haitian black rice. This is called forbidden rice. You could get this by the ounce at certain markets. It's not that easy to find. And there's also fonio. Fonio is a great grain to use. You have the quinoa. That's amaranth. You have kamut. Those are really good grains. Remember, any other grain, mucus forming, acid forming, and if you're having everything else on this list, it's just going to cause a lot of issues later on down the line. Number 18 is eating outside of certain hours. So the best times to eat is from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. I would even say, even if you did 12 to 8, which is called intermittent fasting, You reduce the amount of hours that you consume food so that you have more time to eliminate the waste product out of your food. If your body's constantly taking in food and digesting, taking it, digest, taking and digest, it doesn't have any time to assimilate the food, to move the waste out of the food, because you're giving it too much work. Even at nighttime, instead of healing like it should be doing between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., it's still digesting food because you just had a meal at 10 o'clock p.m. So 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is when you want to consume your food. From 7 to 3 is when you're assimilating all of the nutrients from the day into the body. And then from 3 to 11, you want to dedicate that to eliminating toxins. The only thing that you can have from 3 to 11 is teas and smoothies, green juices, and water. We have to have the water. This is the brand that I typically buy, because even alkaline water, if it's made alkaline by a machine, is it truly alkaline? I don't think so. Alkaline water is natural spring water, but we here in America, so we gotta work with what we got. Number 19, this might upset people, apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar, it doesn't go well with people of African descent. Let me write down. There's 3 phenotypes: Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and Congoloid. This phenotype is associated with Caucasian people. This phenotype is associated with Asian people. Congoloid is associated with African people. When I say phenotypes, I mean the genetic makeup of each group. Based on the genetic makeup of each group, you have a disposition to digest things differently based on your environment. So you have to eat foods that are connected to your genetic structure. Fermented foods, yogurt, pickles, beer, liquor, anything that's fermented is not great for this group right here, Congoloid. Caucasoid, they've been doing fermented things much longer, because there was even with the alcohol, I have a quick video on alcohol, that they consume it and they can take in alcohol a little better than us because they've been drinking it for a longer time, because in Europe, a lot of the water was contaminated, so they had to drink majority alcohol, but it wasn't as strong as it is now. So based on phenotype, which we'll do a full video on that as well, Caucasoid and Mongoloid, I don't know too much on if they're able to digest things that are fermented. Apple cider vinegar is just rotten eggs. Not rotten eggs, rotten apples. You let the apple sit, you let it ferment, and then it starts to grow its own yeast and bacteria. I don't like anything that has yeast and bacteria that come from outside sources, because those things have DNA, and the DNA from those sources can hijack our cell structure and our DNA and just take over. That's why I don't do nutritional yeast and all of those other things. I'm not with it. Congoloid, if you're of African descent, I don't agree with having apple cider vinegar. I know there's people that have had great results from it. I'm not with it. I don't want to debate. It's not my thing. And number 20, something that no one should be consuming. It's going to happen here and there because we can't avoid it because we're in America. Is bad mind people. Negative thoughts, negative people, people that aren't for you. You let these people into your brain, they are going to hijack your nerves as well. Just like certain foods can hijack your nerves and start feeding you things that you know aren't true, but you just have this conflict of interest. People that aren't vibrating at the same frequency as you can do the same thing. And it's not that they're bad people. It's not that you're better than them or they're better than you. You're just not on the same wavelength. You vibrating here, maybe they're vibrating here. You vibrating here, maybe they're vibrating here. When you let people in with their negative thoughts into your mind, you're allowing them to take over. You have to release yourself from these things, because the thoughts they're not just thoughts. They turn into vibrations, and those vibrations are let into the bloodstream to let every single cell in your body know what you're thinking. And that's why we have so much disease, because people have all of these thoughts coming in, whether it's from the TV, family, friends, all of these different thoughts that turn into vibrations that go into the bloodstream, and then everything in your body knows what you feel. And that's why you feel chills when you hear something, or you feel butterflies in your stomach if you hear something really good. That's letting your body know that I received the message, I got the message, and now I'm sending you a physical response to let you know that the message has been received, which is where we get the vibrations, where we get the chills. If somebody says something that's really powerful, you really feel it. Words are powerful, and words do become physical. It becomes physical through the blood. And the way to clean the blood is with burdock root. This is the actual one that you could juice. Tastes terrible. But I also sell a blood purifier that cleanses your blood. But you have to drink a lot of water. A lot of us aren't drinking water. We're not giving our kids water because our kids don't like water. I don't care that you don't like water. I didn't ask you what you like. I told you to drink it. And I got a lot of questions about how do I get my kids to eat green. There's no negotiation in my house. I put the plate down and I sit there. Even if I got to spoon feed you this watercress, it's happening. What I do to make my daughter's salads exciting, I add dates to it. Because there's no negotiation. We can't keep giving these kids all of this junk, all of this soda, all this juice, and nobody's having water. Water helps to cleanse your body. It cleanses your mind. Water has memory. Water has memory. Let's say you have all of these terrible thoughts in your head, and all these thoughts have been sent into the cellular structure and all over the trillion cells in your body. They all know what you're thinking. And now you don't drink any water. You just keep eating garbage and garbage and garbage. Water has memory. Your body is 70, 60, 80% water depending on your age. It's memorizing all of these thoughts, and these thoughts are creating disease in your body. You have to drink water to flush away the thoughts. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I'll go into that more in section 3. This video is already too long, so I'm not going into depth. Water has memory. You gotta drink water. You gotta make sure your kids drink water. You have to make sure that you're getting fresh air, and you have to make sure that you're getting sun. If you're in the northern hemisphere like me, it's about time for us to go on vacation. You need the vitamin D, because the vitamin D also helps you to absorb calcium and phosphorus, which makes us strong bones and strong teeth. You need water. Those are the top 20 foods. Do your best. It's not going to happen overnight. Little by little. If I had to say the first couple things to get rid of, it would obviously be the milk. I am on an anti-milk war path. Don't give the kids milk. And unfortunately, a lot of the formulas for women that aren't breastfeeding, they do contain milk. And if they don't have milk, they have MSG. But they have MSG and a code name, monosodium glutamate, which is a neurotoxin. Causes the brain cells to fire off way faster than they're supposed to, which damages the brain over time. Ladies, we gotta breastfeed these babies. That's what we were put here to do. You have to breastfeed. The milk in the formula is toxic. Some of us have issues producing milk. There's herbs for that. There's fennel. I have, if you don't have one and you go on my website, I don't have anything on there. But if you email me, I will customize a blend for you. We need to do the breast milk. I told you in the last video that the milk is giving instructions to your body to become a cow. Right? We can't give these to the kids. Don't give the kids milk. Don't give them juice. Don't give them soda, unless it's natural green juices that you make at home. The kids need to drink more water, cut down on the French fries, and for you too, you have to cut down on the white flour. Again, spelt flour. It's banging to me. Tastes just like any other flour. Hemp, high protein. Hemp seeds, hemp protein, very, very high in protein. You want to make sure people are not eating fruits. Do you know how much problems you would have? Well, how much less problems you would have if you had a few fruits a day. Just one serving, a cupful of fruits a day. Especially dark fruits. Dark fruits have something called anthocyanins, which are antioxidants. Antioxidants. Oxidation is to break down. This is anti-breakdown. So it's nourishing to your cells. It's nourishing to your body. Anything that's dark. Dark grapes with seeds. Blueberries. Blackberries. Every day, if you can, have limes. These are key limes. I still do lemons. I won't get into the hybrid talk right now. My lemons have seeds, but I still do lemons. You want to make sure every morning, which is a nice flush in the morning to get a lot of mucus out that accumulated overnight. First thing in the morning, you just cut a lemon or a lime in half, and then you just drink that by itself. That is a nice little flush first thing in the morning. Thank you for watching. Sorry it's so long. Bye-bye.